Hey guys, Shane here. Before we get started today, I want to ask you a quick favor. Please hit that subscribe button and give this podcast episode a share on social media so that we can help more families start, build, and grow a membership of their own. We appreciate that so much. Thank you for listening today. And now on to the podcast.
Hey y'all, on today's podcast, we talked to Flip Your Life community member Richard Roberts. Richard is a Java programmer. His goal is to teach other people how to learn Java and use their programming skills to change careers. On today's show, Shane helps Richard identify his avatar and repurpose his content into a second membership site. I can't wait for you to listen to today's podcast. Make sure you share it on social media and be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. And now, enjoy the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again today, and I'm super excited to talk to another member of the Flip Your Life community so that we can help them take their online dream to the next level. Super excited today to talk to Flip Your Life community member Richard Roberts. Richard, welcome to the program, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I am pumped to talk to you. You're a direct guy. I was reading the form that you filled out to go. You're like, listen, I know exactly what I want to talk about. We got to go. All right. But before we get to that topic, tell everybody about you and your background and a little bit about your online business.
So I went to school, graduated, didn't like what I wanted to do, so went back to school again. I always want to be like an entrepreneur. That's kind of my thing. So I was like, well, let me pick something that I'm interested in learning about and something that's like will generate some good income. I can invest in the businesses. So that was technology. So I got into programming, graduated again, moved to Raleigh, got a job with a pretty big tech company as a software engineer. Then I can't remember how I found your Flip Your Life, but I think it was through like an article. Maybe you were mentioned somewhere, one of the bigger news outlets or something.
Sure.
And so I found that. I joined. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And I was like, what should I teach? And I remember you saying, like, you just need to be expert enough. You know, because I was thinking, I'm not like a super programming whiz. I don't do this as a hobby. I do it as a job. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to teach people how to program in Java. So I just Googled, like, what domain names are available that has to do with Java. Or I said, what has been searched the most? And Learn to Java popped up like 40,000 times a month. Like, this was 4 years ago. So I bought the domain, super cheap. I started like building the website, and I probably created like 7 or 8 courses. And to be honest with you, when I was doing it back then, my heart probably wasn't really in it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, one of my buddies from back home in Tazewell, Tennessee, where you're familiar with, he had presented me with an opportunity. They just started out of storage units selling like you could think of like a TJ Maxx of home improvement. We'd buy like obsolete materials from manufacturers, or we'd buy returns from Home Depot, Wayfair, things like that, and we'd resell them at the store in Tazewell, and it's still there today. So I ended up dropping that membership business, and I spent 3 years. I was driving from Raleigh to Tazewell every weekend for a while, like 6-hour drive there Friday, come back Sunday. I was working like a dog, and we built a bootstrap the business from we were in debt, like 10 grand starting out. And I think this year is probably going to generate like $1.5 million in revenue. So it's doing pretty well for a small town business.
Yeah, for sure.
So long story short, last December, we kept growing so much, it kind of put a strain on my partner. He has twins, and he felt like the bigger we got, the more it fell on his back to do, because most of the stuff I did was remote. So he kind of wanted to scale things back a little bit, slow it down. So he bought me out. And then I was like, man, I got a taste of running a business and managing people. But I was like, man, that was tiring. It was a lot of driving, a lot of energy, a lot of
Yes,
stress.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And
that's not an easy drive, people. When you're going through the mountains just to get over to Raleigh, that's a rough drive. Lots of curves. I've drove that road many times.
Yeah, it was a long drive. And so I was like, man, I want to get back into this membership thing, and I'd like to be able to run a business that's not as time intensive as this one was, because I'm still working my day job as well. So I'm still doing that. And so then I got back into this, and I remember thinking, man, setting up the old way, the website before Kajabi was kind of challenging, and I'm a pretty tech savvy guy. And then I think Jocelyn recommended Kajabi, and I was like, man, this is so much easier, way better. So I got on it, and I cranked out. Quarantine had just started, and I was like, well, this is perfect timing, because now I get to work from home and I have more time to work on this. So, I jacked 2 weeks straight. I just did nothing but course material, and I was so confident that there was a market for this. I know people want to learn, but I'm competing with a lot of free resources out there. But I cranked out 30 hours of course content. I got my website polished up. And while I was finishing the course content, I was advertising a beta price on the website, and I don't count him, but my friend signed up for a membership, and he didn't even end up not even using it. Yeah.
Right.
But the same day, I had a random customer sign up for my quarterly membership, and I was like, oh man, this is like such a coincidence. It's so awesome. So I was like, I had like a little high. I felt like I was like, this is so cool.
So you made your first sale like almost instantly from a random.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because you got that. Well, the SEO juice on learntojava.com has got to be good. Like, are you what's your traffic look like right now?
I'd go back and I have it pulled up here. But I have like all my Google Analytics set up. I have my Facebook pixel set up, all that stuff. And I mean, I was like, when I finished, I didn't really pay attention too much to the traffic while I was doing the course content, because I'm kind of like the type that I want to finish this one thing so I can move on to the next thing. And the course content was kind of hard, kind of brutal to knock out all that one time. But
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I did. But now then I started running Facebook ads. So, and then I was kind of just, I didn't really know. I thought in my head at first, I was like, my target audience should be somebody, because there's plenty of free stuff out there you can learn on your own, but there's a lot of people who can't learn on their own. And now I'm one of those people. And I thought, man, if I can just target people who need somebody to help them, like a coach, a mentor, to kind of like be able to ask questions to, that's my audience. But I still think that's probably too broad. But I'm probably looking at like, it has to be 400 a month at least visitors, but I'm also running ads as well.
What is your content strategy on this site? Your free content? Like, are you writing blog posts? Are you doing YouTube videos? Like what are you doing besides Facebook ads? Or are you trying to make this basically like, hey, Facebook ad, get over here and buy this thing. Let's just see what we can spend, and if we can break even, we will. Like, or do you have a content strategy that's rolling out yet?
So I don't have I've been thinking about this lately. I didn't, especially when I started, and I was thinking, well, let me just run some ads, and if I can get like a couple members just to figure out who they are, what they look like, what their background is, why they're joining, and then I can kind of figure out where I start, get into more content. And also, I'm kind of like, feel like I'm stuck about what kind of content would I put out that's not my course related material. And I'm thinking, I guess I kind of struggle on an idea of what kind of content to put out. And recently I found a guy who does the same thing, sort of what I do, but he pitches it as, hey, you learn how to program, you can make money. And that's not really what I'm pitching, but he does webinars where it shows you how to make a program, like kind of walk you through how to write a program. And I did that. I haven't set it up yet for a webinar, but I thought, well, I can see how many people sign up for that. So
yeah. So let me. That's a good question though. Like, people probably want to learn Java for different reasons, right? And like, so I think that's what you've got to figure out first is like let's say 100 people join your email list. Let's just start there. Why do you need to ask that question? Like, why do you want to learn Java? Like, and then why do you want to teach them Java? Like, do you want to just be the resource for Java, or this could even be a personality driven thing? Like, maybe you're just like, hey, I'm a guy from Tazewell, Tennessee, man. I'm from Eastern Tennessee. Like, there's probably a lot of people around the South that are losing their jobs, and maybe they want somebody like me to teach them Java, not some person from California or New York or something else. So if you can figure out, one, who do you want to interact with? Like, it's not about just figuring out who shows up. You can choose that. Like, you get to pick, right? But then, like, why do they want to learn? And like, there's probably 10 different reasons or 20 different reasons why someone would want to learn Java. If you can look that up and figure that out, then you just pick the ones that you want to deal with. Like, maybe that guy that wants to learn Java to make the app to send it out and make some money, maybe that's not why you do it. Maybe it's, I want to learn Java so I can work for a big company, right? Maybe that's the kind of person that you want to serve. That's the path that you want to follow. So I think the first thing you need to do with your content is say, why do you want to do this? Do you just want to teach Java because it's convenient? Or is there a certain person you want to deal with or you want to talk to? Like, who is that person, like, in your mind?
I just knew that, I guess when I first started doing this, I was like, the person that I had in my head was like, sort of like me when I started out in my degree. I was like, I don't know. I've never done any of this. I know how to work a computer, but, I feel like there's so many people out there that think, they just hear the word programming and think it's so complicated and complex, but anybody can learn it. I mean, not everybody's good at it, but anybody can learn it. And I think a lot of people they don't have the right teacher. So I guess I was thinking, well, these are for the people who are like, have really barely know how to use a computer or just starting and they want to learn, that would probably be who I was thinking about targeting.
Yeah. So maybe that what you need to do first when you talk about target audience is if you're stuck with who you want to target, then the best question you can ask yourself is, who do I want to talk to on a weekly basis? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's certain people that you would want to interact with. Like you don't want to interact with you may not want to interact with a 50-year-old person who's just getting into coding and they don't really relate to you. Maybe you're looking for that 20, 30-year-old person who's trying to switch jobs, right? Now we're starting to see a customer profile, an avatar start to create. But before you even think about what the free content is, you've got to define your avatar, right? Have you taken the avatar course in the community yet? Have you been in there? Okay. What did you come up with when you went through that?
Well, I wrote down a bunch of ideas and I thought the problem is I'm afraid to pitch something that, like, I don't think my course and what I teach you Java is enough to really get you a job. So I'm kind of afraid to throw that out there to people. I mean, it could later on, it would be a foundation, but this itself probably would not land you a job.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have to have experience, things like that. So I was kind of afraid to pitch it that way. And I thought, well, what if it's somebody who wants to get out of their job, but they're just testing the waters and they just want to like start learning it. Just start. That's where I would be. I'd be that foundation zero where you just start learning how to program.
So I wonder though, if I think you're missing a little bit of the boat there though, because like, for example, maybe you want to teach them Java. You want to give them a foundation. So you're the beginner guy, right? So that's great. That's cool. That's part of the gimmick. If we're watching pro wrestling here, right? So you know what I'm saying? But there's another part to it that's interesting about your story, and that's what happened in your life. You got into a degree you didn't want because your dad talked you into it. Like this is a story you're telling on a webinar. You realized it sucked. You quit and you went back to school, and then you learned how to code, and then you went out and got a job in Raleigh, right? So you probably had to figure out, well, how do I apply for these jobs? Where do they post these jobs? You probably had to do an interview. You probably had to submit a resume, right? I wonder if you could add that to your thing. And now we have the true beginnings of a result that we can deliver to people. Hey, what if the result is just that you get to put, how to do Java on a resume? It doesn't say you're the best. Doesn't say you can do everything, but then I'll show you how to apply for the job. I'll show you what I did to look up jobs. I'll show you how to write your resume. I'll show you how to say it to where you're not lying and you're the greatest programmer on the planet, right? Like you could actually just make a couple modules that are pretty evergreen of how you got your first job or how you applied for your first job. That could even be a goal too. Like, hey, I'll have you within X 6 months, you'll be able to apply for jobs because you'll learn to Java. You know what I'm saying? Now you got an avatar. Now you've got someone now you've got a defined result that learning Java produces, and you can provide additional services. That's a differentiator. I can go and watch how to code on YouTube, right? But I can't have my boy Richard right here with me. You know what I'm saying? I can't have like, wait, what did I say? Yeah. I can't have you sitting beside me saying, hey, not only am I going to teach you how to Java, but look, here's what you got to do, man. You got to fill out your resume. Let me show you my resume. Hey, when you do the interview, they're going to ask you these 5 or 6 questions. You got to be prepared to ask for it. Hey, this is a story from my interview with this company, and that's how I got my job. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you added something like that in there, you've got the magic thing as a result. And I don't think learning Java is a result. That's the means to the end, right? What do you think about that?
I guess the only thing I struggle with is the route that I went was going back to school, getting a degree, but the route that I guess that you're alluding to that I'd be teaching is like, well, you're sort of trying to get a job without having that degree. And I guess I didn't go down that road. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it doesn't matter though. Nobody cares in the current economy where you went to school. They care if you know how to do the job. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you can definitely get jobs without them. I didn't take that path though.
That's okay. That's fine. Like I had when I was selling football playbooks, my first business online. I was a defensive guy. I was a defense coordinator. Like I ran a 3-3 defense, and that's what I did. But I had a product that was the pistol offense. Just because I didn't call plays every Friday, I had coached against it enough where I understood how I broke down the pistol offense. I could destroy it right on Friday nights. And I was like, wow, I know this so well. I don't have to be the offensive coordinator to actually make this playbook. and I sold those. So it's like, you don't have to be, if you can provide the result and the information, their story doesn't have to be your story. That's actually something that I struggle with too, is trying to imprint my story on the people I serve, right? People can do it differently. People can go a different route. The evergreen fundamentals, the 80% that matters, is what you need to help people with. And the other 20% is flexible. So, you know, can you still help someone write a resume and just leave? They don't have a line that says, you know, I got a degree. Like, you can still help them think that through, right? You can interview people that you know who got the job without the degree, because you probably know a couple of those people. And now you have a module that teaches people how to apply. How did you apply? You can just ask them questions. How did you get this job without a degree? And they answer it for you. You put that in your membership and you're done. Right. So you don't try to make everybody just follow your path. Just give them the tools they need to create their own path. That's how you start a community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I will say one thing that was interesting. The one member that signed up, I got the email, my Stripe email, that said the person who signed up. But then in the website, it was a different email, and I got like probably borderline stalkerish, trying to see like who they was, because they wouldn't answer my emails. I was like, I just wanted to ask them, like, who are you? What are you doing? And I'm pretty sure I figured out, I'm probably like 80% certain that it was a parent who I think purchased it for their kid.
Okay.
And that sparked another idea. And I was like, okay, that would be not a bad market.
Well, okay. So wait a minute. This is perfect. And for everybody listening, like, you're going to hear me say something completely different than I just said, but that's how we wrestle with these ideas. Like, right. Like, I might start out saying, I want to do a paper newsletter, and I want it to be all about articles, because this is the exact process Membership Masters went through. I want to write cool articles and write these deep, thoughtful, high level things. But it turned out to be like, no, wait a minute. What people really want is a calendar that tells them what to do every day. Like, that's how it became what it is. Dude, this is the perfect time to go into that space, because if you could present this more like a homeschool thing, right? Well, schools aren't going back to school because of coronavirus. There's people, I'd say 20% of the country is going to choose homeschool even if they did go back because of the pandemic, right? So with a little, I'm looking at your homepage right here, with a little bit of changing it up, right? You could say, hey, I'm just a guy from Eastern Kentucky. I taught myself to Java. I got a job with it. Man, what could your kids do someday if they just had some fundamental Java skills? They could go to school and become a programmer, but you got to learn this first. And you could position it like that. You could market to parents for their high school students or whatever who are homeschooling. And that could be like programming, right? You could target words like how to teach my kids programming and stuff like that. And you could target it more at the kids. You could but you're not really selling to the kids. You're selling to the parent. The idea that if you don't teach your kids how to code, they're going to be screwed here in 10 years. You know what I mean? And that might be a good way to do that, you know?
I was testing it, and I just like 3 days ago, just kicked off an ad targeting parents. So I'm just curious to see like if I can get, like I think the biggest struggle I have is just getting one or two in the door. Because I got I ran ad. Okay, let me back up. So
well, you got one in the door. You got one in the door.
Yeah, and now they're already out. Yeah, but one thing I guess is pretty cool I didn't mention is, which this is a different market, but I joined 2 Facebook groups that are like programming for beginners. One group has 153,000 members on it.
Yeah.
And the other group is 53,000 members, or about 55. And so I put a poll in both of those groups, and I was like, hey, what is it that you feel like holds you back the most from learning how to program? And I put up there like having a coach or mentor and not having the time. I put it whatever I could. And I also said, hey, if there's something not up here, just put it in the poll. And most people said, excuse me, not having a coach or a mentor and not knowing like where to start. And I thought, well, okay, these things I can do. And then I thought, well, if I target the parents, and I thought, well, is it still like these are high school kids, but they're still kind of they would be doing the same, I guess, as an adult, right? Like they would follow my course, and then what I would do like weekly webinars or something to see if they have any questions or. Yeah,
it'd be the exact same process. Like, for example, I've got 3. Okay, so I have a U.S. history teacher site, right? We still run that. Now, it's always been for schools. It's always been like teachers, put your class on autopilot. I'll give you all the resources where you can have bell-to-bell instruction with no planning, Okay. That's the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually building 2 other sites right now because of the coronavirus. We've made a little pivot. One, the school thing took off, and because people have to use Google Classroom at home and they didn't know how to do it. So we got that covered. But here's the other 2 things I got ideas for. Right now, we're building a homeschool site. So students can go through our history curriculum. I've got a guy, I've hired like a voice actor, and he's actually teaching the PowerPoints on a video. So now I don't even need the teacher. Like, your kid can hit play, they can read the text, they can hit a button, take a quiz, and they move on to the next lesson. Total homeschool curriculum, right? But I've got another site that I'm going to create that's just like learning U.S. history, right? Because that's a big problem right now. Nobody knows history anymore. And the search is showing me that there's a lot of adults out there that just want to be like, man, I'd like to just learn more about history, right? And our history curriculum is completely created by me and my team. And we hired a content creator. We planned it all out. Everything you could ever learn all the way up till Obama left office, from the beginning of history, is in there. But here's the key, dude. It's the same content in all 3 memberships. So the professional teaching with my resources is the same thing that the student, that the high school junior, that the adult that comes into this new site, it's all the same content. It's just packaged a little differently. So if you plan this right, like Learn to Java could have tracks, just like you would go to a conference and there would be tracks, right? Like you could have a little 3 boxes at the top of the screen that say, you want to learn Java. Who are you? Tell me. And one side says, I'm a parent and I want my homeschool student to take the Java, right? Or I'm a person who wants to leave my career and start programming, right? You could have 2 options there. And they could literally just click either path. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not reaching out too wide. That's just being smart and repurposing your content. It's the same thing, right? And honestly, most adults need to be taught like high school students anyway, because you got to slow it down for them so that they can figure it out and understand it. So what if you just did both? What if you just created the same membership area in Kajabi, the same thing, and then you just had 2 pipelines in Kajabi, one marketed to kids, one marketed to parents of homeschoolers, and one marketed to people trying to learn the basics of Java to see if they could do it, and then sell the fact that you're going to mentor everybody through that. Now, if you do this, you will probably have to have separate calls. Like if you're going to have a kid call and an adult call, does that make sense? Yeah. So you would have to have 2. You might want to clone the product so you know who they are or the offer. Because I wouldn't put like kids in a Q&A with adults. That would be a disaster. But if you wanted high school students in the thing and they could come ask questions, or the parents could come ask questions, they would have like they might get a call every month or every other week, and then the other people get a call every other week, and you got one call a week basically to be able to do that. Yeah. Does that make sense? Does that seem overwhelming? Or I think that's pretty cool. Like, I mean, you've got the courses are the same. I don't know why you wouldn't just create 2 pipelines,
So I'm like, it's still the same site, same everything, right? But I'm just trying to get them down 2 funnels into the same membership, basically.
Yeah, I think the product can be the same. I don't think there's what you might want to do is you might want to, like, say you build out your membership site, right? And you inside of Kajabi, which Kajabi is amazing, and if it had been available 4 years ago, I would have recommended it then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we had to WordPress and all that nonsense, and everything was all plugged in together. It was a disaster. But like, what you do is you can clone that exact membership when you're done with it. So you got 2 memberships, right? And then what I might do is I might go in and like the images that I use on the kids side might look a little different. You know what I'm saying? But the courses themselves, it's the same exact thing. So you just go create a pipeline. You got an opt-in, email marketing, sales page, offer page, right? And the homeschool side goes in. The content's the same, but it looks a little different on that course, right? And then on the other side, which is your adult side, it's the same content, right? But you're just going to funnel them there, right? And then your content, you can write different things. Like you can write like your public content. I don't know, man. This might just be an ad funnel. It might just be something where you're just out there targeting the right people. You've got a long form sales letter to sell it. I got a buddy at learnscrivenerfast.com. His name's Joe Nicoletti.
I listened to that podcast.
Yeah. If you go to his website, you'll see his entire business, dude, has just been a long form sales page, everything that they get when they buy the product. And then his marketing strategy is just ads and affiliates. And he's just been funneling traffic to that one page for 5-6 years. And it works like gangbusters. So you could totally do that. You don't have to sit there and like blog like crazy or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
just
because I feel like I'd struggle. I don't even know what I'd blog about. Like I'd struggle.
Well, I mean, usually it's the what, not the how. So it would be like, hey, like what can your kid do with this, Java, and what can this and what can that? And, if you can get the ads kind of clicking, it might not even matter, right? People would just join, Now, the problem is the homeschool site is not going to be anywhere near the price of the what were you charging a month? What'd you say?
I did my beta price like $24, and I raised it to like $49 a month.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to stick the kid side is going to be, you might have a bigger audience, but you also will probably have to go a lower price. You know what I'm saying? But it could be somewhere between 19 and 49, surely, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna kick off at 19 is what we're gonna kick off with, and go try to find 1,000 homeschool families to join that. So,
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think so. Let's recap and see if we can consolidate this a little bit.
Yeah.
One, I don't think that content really matters right this minute because you're willing to spend ads and you got some resources to do it apparently, right? So maybe it is just the long that kind of sales process. It's the long form sales letter. It's good marketing that we update and change over time, pushing people to the long form page. Like this front page on Learn to Java would be actually like you would rebuild this as a full sales page, which it kind of looks like that anyway. But you just want to expand it out to where if I came here at 3 a.m., everything I could ever ask you would be answered, right? And then maybe you have a couple pipelines where you drive one audience into the like homeschool market, like your kid needs to learn how to code. Let me show you how to do it, from scratch or whatever. I got into this and blah, blah, blah. I got a job and your kid could get a job there too. Then you could drive some ads over to the other side, which is more of a, intensive thing, right? And there might be a little difference in that adult community that you want to have some differentiator. Like they would have all the job stuff that I was talking about earlier, and that would not be in the homeschool part.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why it costs more, because it's got all the job stuff in it. But they have a completely different sales page, right? It's like learntojava.com and learntojava.com at home or something for kids or whatever. And then just try to keep just make sure you're getting opt-ins, you're driving traffic. They have to use the pipeline structure in Kajabi, like get the opt-in, email marketing, sales page, follow up. So drive your traffic to that initial opt-in page for sure.
I did notice the ads that I have ran. I mean, I've probably gotten like 100 or so opt-ins, but when I first was doing it, I was just targeting, like I wasn't really targeting countries that probably could even pay me money. So I think that was a problem, but I did notice like a majority of the opt-ins, I could see that they signed up, they opted in, but then when I sent them like a free trial, for example, they didn't even sign up for the free trial, like for the membership. They just
that's going to happen. That's a volume game,
Yeah.
I mean, most people that see your ad are not going to click it, and then most people that click the ad are not going to opt in, and then most people that opt in aren't even going to check the email. And then most people that don't, and then most people that do check the email aren't going to click the link, and then most people that click the link aren't going to buy. So at that point, it's just how many I got to funnel people through this. It's all volume, which is why that's what the organic strategies are for. Hey, I had an idea about content. Instead of you creating content, you could, if you have some niches are weird like this, like it's hard to be public. Well, what are you going to talk about Java? You know what I'm saying? If you can't teach Java. So you can do some of that. You could teach small lessons on YouTube to get people who are looking to learn Java. And then get them over to your opt-in. So you can teach outside of the community, no big deal, right? But it's just not curated and organized correctly. But you could also take the role of a reporter. This is something I've seen some people do successfully. Instead of coming up with content, they just like look up, you type in Java and you go click news in Google, and you just kind of see what people in the industry are talking about, right? And then maybe you write commentary on that, like, oh, studies show that in 10 years, all the truck driving jobs are going to be gone, and you better learn some code now so you can go get a job, right? Like that's a good way to create content when you can't think of anything, is take on the role of the reporter and like just study the industry and figure out what that looks like. You know what I mean? As a person who's not homeschooling or not doing that, I don't think that you don't have to, you could even, you could do that. You could talk about how 20% of kids are going to homeschool. Your kid's going to be left behind if they don't go back to school. You better join my Java course, right? That's a good way to create content too. If you get, just because you have free stuff out there doesn't mean they're not going to join your membership. In fact, they may want that membership, right? So, but make some YouTube videos, throw those out there too and see if you can get a little traffic that way. But a good funnel with some ads is probably your best bet. Okay?
Yeah, I think I can I feel like I have ideas about getting people. Like I even created how you go on the internet and you get plug in how much money you save and how much you'd make compound interest if you were to save it per paycheck. I created a program to do that. And I was advertising, hey, I'll give you this, I'll show you step by step, just watch me code it and I explain what I'm doing. And then I also thought about turning that into a webinar where I invite you in completely free just to get leads, and then I show you how to make this program. And it's how much money you save.
It's like the cooking shows. They rush through the recipe and then they pull a turkey out of the oven, right? Yeah. Like there's no way you could watch that and actually learn how to cook the turkey. You got to actually buy the cookbook, right? That's like a demonstration type webinar. I've actually done that before building sales pages. I had watch me build a sales page in 30 minutes, and they were like, hey, take this course. So you could totally, that's brilliant. Now that would even be stuff. I don't even know if I'd do a webinar, just freaking do YouTube videos like that. And learn to Java, how to build a pricing thing. That could be great content. I think YouTube's probably your best bet. Content, because you can show people what you're going to do inside the community.
I guess I was just thinking if I can get them to, because the webinar, I was going to do webinar simply because you can do exactly what I'm doing. Just follow what I'm doing on the screen, and you'll also create the same program. So you can do it. Just you're not going to know what you're doing, but you can still do it just step by step. So I thought, well, if I can get people's emails in, I can show them how to do it step by step, then maybe that's a start. But I guess my problem is I can do the content, the webinars. I feel like I can be sort of creative, but I feel like I'm just throwing stuff on a wall to see who is it I'm really talking to.
Well, you really are. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing is your message is going to hit with somebody. I think people are going to be confused because we always tell people niche down, focus on one product, right? But you've already got the product and it can be shown to 5 or 6 different people. You just have to do that. You know what I mean? So you are in that stage of let's throw mud on the wall and let's see what sticks. And you're not going to be able to guess that answer because there's so many variables. Who can relate to you? That's going to matter, right? And as you teach it, you're teaching style. So you've got to show your ads and get people in there and see how retention works. You've got to go out on YouTube and create these how-to things. And what if you were the guy that did a program every week? You just got on YouTube, you went live, and you started making it. Right? That could be your thing. And you just see who shows up at that point, and don't underestimate the value of throwing mud on the wall. We throw a lot of mud on the wall over here at Flip Life. my team, sometimes I posted in the Flip Your Life community last week. I was like, hey, we're launching the affiliate program. I got a wild hair. And I put a link in the Facebook group and I had 20 people. They're like, I'm in. And I actually tagged my affiliate manager who's going to take over this part of the program. And I said, just to let you know, I launched this, but I told her we weren't going to do it for 2 weeks. And the other night I was like, yeah, I'm not waiting that long. Let's see what happens. Right. So you just got to do it, man. And see how it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, listen, man, that was a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming on the show today and talking through some stuff. I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably struggling with this exact same thing. I've got a product. Who do I show this to? What do I create? What do I do? And, there's nothing wrong with throwing mud on the wall. And it took us 30 minutes to get there, but we figured out, start picking up and throwing mud on the wall, man.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on the show today, man. Thanks for sharing with everybody about your business. And if anybody wants to learn a little Java, go to learntojava.com.
Yeah, learntojava.com. Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Shane.
All right, guys, that wraps up my chat with Richard Roberts of learntojava.com. What a great idea. What a great domain name. And what a great story of, hey, I got into this a few years ago, or I wasn't quite ready to build it. I did something else, but now I'm ready to come back to it. And I know that's a story for a lot of people out there. Listen, back in 2003, I actually started selling stuff online. I was actually recording stuff and mailing out stuff on eBay, and I bought a couple domains. I had some ideas. I was going to make a website. I even went to the bookstore and I bought books about how to use Dreamweaver to build websites. And I was like, man, I made $500 on the internet. I wonder if I could keep going. But I didn't. I put it down, and I didn't come back around until 2012 to get an actual online business off the ground. The first time I ever tried anything online was back 10 years before I actually did something that made it. That's okay. Maybe you've tried before. Maybe you failed. Maybe you've had this idea, you got started, but you put it on the shelf because life got in the way. Well, that's okay. You can get back on the horse. You can get back going forward again right now, and you can do it for free. We have a 30-day free trial for all new members of the Flip Your Life community at fliplifestyle.com/free. You can get started again. You can get that dream reignited, and you can go and build your online business in the new Flip Your Life community. We have just updated all of our courses. We have updated our entire platform. We have updated all of our software and resources so that we can better serve you and help you finally succeed with your online business. So if you want to start right now, if you want to get it going again, if you've tried before, if you've never tried, go to fliplifestyle.com/free and you can start your 30-day free trial today. All right, guys, we are about out of time today, but before we leave, I want to make sure I read a Bible verse. Jocelyn and I love to close every episode of the Flip Lifestyle Podcast with a Bible verse. We get a lot of our inspiration and motivation from the Bible, and we want to share all that stuff that we read with you. Today's Bible verse comes from Psalm 32, verse 8, and the Bible says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. Sometimes, guys, when you don't know which way you should go, you just need to keep walking. It's okay. Just keep moving. The answers will appear. The answers will come. If you keep putting one foot in front of the other, if you keep throwing mud on the wall, the path is there. Just keep moving. Don't stop, and you will find the answers that take your online dream to the next level. That's all the time we have for this episode of the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. Until next time, guys, get out there, take action, do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Maybe I'll go down to Tazewell and check out your store someday.
Yeah, well, it's not mine anymore.
Not yours anymore. Not yours anymore.
My footprint's there though.
I can see the I can see the house that Richard built.
Yeah.
One more thing before we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. If you love the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, if we bring a little joy and a little happiness and we bring some knowledge into your life every single week, could you do us a favor? Go to Apple Podcast and hit subscribe. Download a few of the podcast episodes onto your phone. Apple's algorithm loves seeing downloads, and it loves seeing those subscribes. And please leave us an honest review over on Apple Podcasts. That'll help us grow the show, expand the mission, and reach more people so that we can help them change their family's future as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.